questions with me, okay? So last week, well, 2 weeks ago, I presented a topic which was find your purpose, find your freedom, right? Because I said that a life of meaning is a life of purpose. And once you live a life of purpose, you are free as an individual. Today, we're going to continue the topic of freedom because on the No Filter channel, what we're talking about for the month of September is freedom. Okay, we're talking about freedom and how do people get their freedom, gain their freedom, or regain their freedom. Okay, and one of the ways to regain your freedom is by freeing your mind. Okay, is by freeing your mind. How do you free your mind and how do you get freedom? Let's start with the easiest one. We're going to review the definition of freedom. What is freedom? What is freedom? If you remember last week, I asked ChatGPT what was the definition of freedom. And ChatGPT gave me 8 ways that we can define freedom, 8 aspects where freedom exists, right? We spoke about personal freedom. We had political freedom. We had economic freedom. We had freedom of speech. We had freedom of religion, freedom of assembly, freedom from discrimination, cultural and artistic freedom, many different freedoms. Haitian people, we know in many other countries, many other cultures don't have most of these freedoms that we're talking about when we're talking about freedom of religion, freedom of association, economic freedom. We know we don't have that, okay? But for the purpose of this discussion, I want to talk about personal freedom. Okay, so let's just keep it simple. What is personal freedom? I'm going to read the definition for you, okay? Oh, and by the way, guys, I'm going to be doing little interjections. The people who are looking at me on this screen, you guys are on Facebook. The live is on Instagram, No Filter channel. If you go No Filter channel, I'm online there. I'm not on live on the School of Superpowers because I don't know how to. Okay, so personal freedom. Personal freedom, this involves the ability of individuals to make choices about their own lives, beliefs, and actions without interference from others, as long as these choices do not infringe upon the rights and freedom of others. Like I always say, your freedom stops where somebody else starts, okay? So personal freedom is you being able to make choices, decisions, pose actions that are with no interference from other people. Are you free in that sense? Do you feel like you have your personal freedom? Do the choices that you make, are they without other people's influence? Are they without other people's mindset? Are they without other people's own beliefs? Are your choices truly aligned with who you are and who you want to be? Okay, so we're talking about personal freedom in that sense. Hi guys, hi everybody who's joining No Filter channel. We're talking about freedom and we're talking about freeing your mind as it relates to regaining your freedom. How are those two things related? Freedom is your opportunity for you to make your choices without interference of others, but also within the barriers of respecting somebody else's freedom. The moment that for you to be free, you have to take somebody else's freedom, you have to influence or you have to jeopardize somebody else's well-being, this is no longer your freedom. This is you having the colonizer mindset, okay? Colonization. No. Your freedom stops where somebody else's start. You see how sometimes some people can come into a room and they start speaking loud and they're taking space and all in the name of freedom. This is not freedom, because the moment that you're taking up all the airspace for you and not leaving any for me, you're not being free. Right now, you're conquering my own personal freedom. You're infringing upon my freedom, okay? So freedom is how the space that you create for yourself where you can be and do whoever you want, as long as it does not affect somebody else. Okay, so everybody knows Bob Marley here. Most people know Bob Marley, okay? Bob said, and you guys know this song. If you guys don't know this song, please check it out. Emancipate yourself from mental slavery. Why did he say that? Why did he equate a loss of freedom with a mind thing? Let's think about Nelson Mandela. Nelson Mandela spent what, 26 years in prison? Guys, am I exaggerating? Is it 26 or 16? I believe it's 26. He spent all these years in prison, but Nelson Mandela was free because his mind was free. Nelson Mandela never felt like he was truly bound because he had a free mind. Nobody could ever control his mind. His mind was free. When Bob said emancipate yourself from mental slavery, because he understands that the biggest form of slavery is that of the mind. Why is that so? Why is it that I'm not even in prison, I'm enjoying my physical freedom, I have my house, I have my job, I have my family, I have money, or I'm pursuing money, but then yet I'm not free? Why would somebody like that be in prison, but someone like Nelson Mandela, who was in actual prison, was not free? Why was that the case? That's what we need to figure out, okay? So then, they talk about the mind, right? Bob Marley is talking about the mind. Nelson Mandela is talking about the mind. Then what is the mind? And why is the mind so important, right? I pulled the definition for you guys as well, okay? It's a difficult concept to synthesize. It's a difficult concept to really define in a way that people can understand in this day and age. And I'll tell you why. Because there's a part of the definition that we are not really connected with. The invisible world of us, we don't know it. We tend to associate and we tend to identify with what is tangible in our lives and what we can touch and what we think is real. So what we don't see, we don't perceive as reality. What is the mind? The mind is the bridge between our inner world of thoughts and feelings and our external experiences in the world. So the mind connects your inner world with your outer world. But because we don't have a good sense of what our inner world is, if what our inner world does, do you think freedom is a concept that exists? Do you think freedom is concept exists? Do you think that freedom is a concept? No, well, freedom is a fact. Freedom is a reality, is a state of being. Freedom is the state of being. Freedom is not an idea. Freedom is a state of being. Freedom has nothing to do with where you are physically. Freedom, as per Bob Marley, has to do with your mind before anything. Because, Mafuto, when you take Nelson Mandela, who was in actual prison, who was in actual bondage, he was a free man. He never felt like he was in prison because his mind was free, because his mind was his own. But why? I'll show you guys why his mind was free and why us who are living this life that we're living in, somehow we are in bondage. Somehow we live in a little box like this, a little box. Somehow this is kind of how most of us live. They say, so I gave you the definition of what the mind is, right? So the mind, it plays a central role in shaping your reality, whether you want to or not, whether you believe it or not. Now, let's take another step back. What is your most valuable resource? Any of us. Our most valuable resource is our time. Where do we spend our time? Where do we put our attention on? That is your most valuable resource, is what you put your attention and your time doing. If you wake up every day, you do that one thing, then it's that one thing that gains the value of who you are. Is that one thing that takes benefit or no benefit from your attention. Where do you place your attention? Where does your attention lie? Where does it stay? Okay. I want to show you guys where we typically spend our time with our minds. Where our minds typically, where is the playground of our minds? Because you know what they say? You are born free. We are born with a free mind. But by the time you reach close to your 20s, 95% of us are living in a zombified state. Meaning, 95% of us are living an unconscious life. Meaning, 95% of us are not really producing a conscious thought. Meaning, 95% of us are living a reality that is already premeditated and already calculated in our minds. So we are not generating anything new. We're not coming up with our own thoughts. We are simply living and we're simply repeating cycles and patterns in a way that is vastly unconscious. Mofuto, you see, there are a lot of things you would have to say. Please don't worry, we will talk about it next week, but I want to present this topic, and please continue on putting your questions. I'm going to be as quick as I can so that we can have some questions at the end so that we can discuss. But I want to present this because, guys, think about the reason why this is important is because anything that we can do to help ourselves without having to ask for another person or without having to wait for something to happen to us, take it. Because that's what gives you strength. That's what makes you powerful. And when I say makes you powerful, in your own life, you want to seek power in your own life. You want to be the CEO of your own life. You don't want to be the CEO of my life. Again, that's a colonizer mindset. You want to be controlling your girlfriend. That's a colonizer abusive mindset. You don't want to be controlling your kids. That's you copying out. All the mothers, the dads, the parents who are out there, think about this. There's a limit between the type of control you exercise on a child, because you, in a blink of an eye, they're an adult and they make their own choices and they say, F you, we do whatever we want. So then what do you do with your colonizer mindset? Who else are you going to control? I always tell people, get a pet. I don't even like domestic animals when you think of it, because they really should be free. But if you want to control someone, get a pet. If you want to control someone, I say that there are a lot of disabled people who are needing help. Help those people and take control of their lives for them. But if this is not what you're trying to do, if your mindset is just a colonizer mindset or the abusive, controlling, narcissistic mindset, then take a step back, because what you're really doing is you're taking over somebody else's freedom. What you're really doing is copying out and not living your own life and trying to live life through somebody else's life, because it's actually hard to take ownership and to truly become the CEO of your life. It is not easy. And so that's why people, when I say 95% of people by the time they reach the age of 20 are living a zombified state, it's not because they want to be zombies. It's not because they're weak. It's because it is truly hard to take ownership and take control of your own self. It's because the School of Superpowers, this is me, what I truly believe is that we are at the, and you guys hear me say that all the time, we are at the beginning of humanity's evolution. We are at the beginning, which means there are a lot of things we don't know. The invisible world, we don't know. On this channel, they do éveil spirituel, trying to get people to get familiar with the concept of the invisible and to tap into those powers and to tap into your own spirituality. But some people, you hear spirituality, they think you're talking about magic, they think you're talking about voodoo, they think you're talking about, and again, voodoo in a negative way, black magic, but no. Spirituality simply means connecting with the world of the invisible and knowing that your power, you have a lot of power that lies there for you. Okay? Okay. You see, you're talking about system, you're talking about control, but Mark, think about, that's why the only way the easiest way for me to answer that question is to talk about Nelson Mandela. Nelson Mandela was in a prison and he was abused every single day. But why was he not in prison? Why was Nelson Mandela not in bondage? Why did he leave this prison and nothing about him changed? If anything, he grew. Because he understood how to maintain proper boundaries between his mind and what it is that you wanted, other people wanted for him or wanted to do to him. Nelson Mandela was not living within the narrative of what other people wanted for his life. That's what I just said. We live in a F-up world. We live in a world that has a lot of injustice. We live in a world that has still dealing with poverty. Poverty is such an elementary, primitive problem that us as a society, we have everything that we can't. The world has all the resources necessary for no one to be in poverty. Science has developed enough for us to, science and spirituality mixed with technology, mixed with quantum physics, all these things are developed enough for us to be able to heal ourselves. But yet we live in an imperfect world. Are we going to live within the boundaries of what other people have created for us, or are we going to take the freedom that we can? What I'm trying to say is that there's a lot of the freedom that's currently there that we can already claim, that we are not claiming. And I'll tell you guys why we are not claiming this freedom that is accessible to us. I'll tell you some of the ways that we waste our time. Number one, you know, I spoke about this. I keep speaking about this. The first thing about purpose. If your life have no purpose, your life has no meaning, somebody else is controlling your mind. If you do not use your mind, somebody else will. Your employer today, the person who's hiring you, this person who's giving you a job today, this person is controlling your mind. If the way you're showing up at work is to just, for a paycheck, you're not really conscious, you're just there to give out 8 hours, well, you're prostituting. That's what prostitution is, exchanging time for money, right? But then you're exchanging time, you're not giving yourself, you're not participating in the activity. You're just giving to get something else. So if you do not use your mind, somebody else will. So that's one way that we do not use our minds consciously. One way, by going to work every day in a job that we are not conscious. We've never asked ourselves, is that in line with who I am? Is that in line with my personal vision? Am I living on purpose, or am I just there surviving? Most of us are living in a survival mode. Most of us are living in in a zombified, unconscious type of living. Okay. Number two, running thoughts. How many of us sit here and we have running thoughts in our minds? And you're like, man, I cannot even control that thought. The thought is just repeating. There's always a story that's being told, but who's controlling that thought? Why is it that we can sit here and in our minds is overtaken by something that we did not choose? So essentially our time is being spent on something that we did not choose. So I'm sitting here in my mind, and I don't think it's alarming. It isn't alarming for me to sit here and then my mind is overtaken by a thought that I did not pick. But we're so used to that way of living, we're so used to that way of thinking that we think, it must be okay that I spent half of my day thinking about something that has nothing to do with my conscious thoughts or my conscious desires. We accept the unacceptable because we don't know any better. We don't believe that there can be a life without those running thoughts. I wake up, oh shoot, I'm thinking about this, and then this takes on all my day. This has nothing to do with what's currently happening. It's probably something that happened in the past or something that you anticipate that's going to happen in the future, that you're not a divinator, so you truly don't know what's going to happen, but you're sitting here putting all your time and energy into that. Time equates to life. The difference between me and somebody who's dead right now is they don't have any more time to live on this earth. So if my time is spent on things that I don't even choose, how free am I? We just spoke about personal freedom is you having the ability to make that choice for yourself. Now you're having a rent. You don't even know who's taking up your thoughts. At least in Haiti, sometimes we think, it's, nous pon point, woman qui font magie sous nous, mais in reality, who's taking up your thoughts? Okay. So we have running thoughts. And we are all accepting this alarming situation as if it's normal, as if it's okay, but it is not okay. You're letting a virus run wild in your mind. And then we're like, oh. So now if you had 100% of your day, 20% of it is taken up by a thought that you never chose. You never picked that. You never consciously said, let me go and think about that thing. All right. So that's one. Let's talk about our routines. We wake up to you guys know I love seeing that. You wake up, you mindlessly eat, you mindlessly drag yourself to the shower, you mindlessly drink some water or not, because you probably don't drink water until you're super thirsty anyway. Again, that's the unconsciousness, right? You only drink water when you're about to die, because water is not something you consciously put in your body. Because if we were connected with our bodies, we would take a glass of water. We would understand that our body needs it. We don't need to be in physical distress before we drink that water. So we go by our routines. We do what we got to do. We have a series of tasks that are lined up that, oh, well, I have to go to work. I have to take care of my kid. I have to do homework with them. But at no point are you truly alive doing these things. You're not openly doing it. 95% of people live like that. They just go by to go by to go by. Very rarely is there a time where they're making a conscious choice, because a lot of times, right? I guess I don't have a choice. I guess I don't have a choice. I guess that's just what it's going to be. Cop out. Nelson Mandela was in prison. He was like in a small cell. He had all the freedom in the world. That's where he grew. That's where he learned. That's where he developed a whole plan to rule a country while he was in prison. Because what he did, he chose to use his mind for that, instead of choosing to sit and think about how many years he's been in prison. Mes amis, ça fait 2 jours là, mes amis, ça fait 10 jours là, mes amis, ça fait 5 ans là, mes amis. Nothing productive. He chose because he was in control of his mind most of the time. So routine is another way we waste our brains. Am I saying that you should not do what you should do? No, what I'm saying is you need to be conscious of it and make a choice. Do I really want to be doing this thing? A lot of people, some people, not a lot, some people, they have a big old house. And then they spend all their day cleaning. But if they really stopped, they would have realized, man, this is not really what I want to do. I don't want to be in this big house doing this. I'd rather live in a smaller house and travel more, right? But all it takes is stopping and then asking yourself the question, right? Some people are like, man, I'm in this job that I really hate. I don't, but at no point do they realize, but you really have a choice. We have way more choices than we let ourselves admit, that we want to admit to ourselves. We have way more choices. Unfortunately, a lot of, and when I say us, I'm not talking about Haitian, I'm talking about humans in general, because this is simply where we are in humanity's evolution. A lot of us don't think, like a lot of us rather complain. Complaining is a very, 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 very popular activity in humanity right now. Complaining. You know why? We do have reason to complain about certain things. We have reason to be unhappy about certain things. But instead of focusing on what we can be happy about and capitalizing on that, we rather look at all the ways that we are unhappy and all the things that are holding us back as a reason to not move and as a reason to keep our eyes shut. We take that as an excuse. Because at the end of the day, it takes guts to step up and say, man, what is this life about? What is this life thing about? How can I make this life thing work for me? Yes, this is unfair. Yes, that is unfair. Yes, this has been done to me. But today I am here somehow. What choice am I going to make? We are afraid of making choices, right? Okay, so this is me talking about routine. I'm going to keep moving on. Oh my God, this is my favorite one. Romanticizing the past. I have so many people who do that all the time. They're so afraid of living in the present. They're so unhappy with what the present somehow is, that they just romanticize the past. They romanticize it, but the past was exactly the same as their present, because in their past they were romanticizing the past, and they were romanticizing the past. So it's always a chain of the same thing. But then romanticize the moment, guy, catch yourself. And all these things, take notes. If any of those things is you, which for me, I'm gonna be honest, a lot of them are. I don't romanticize the past though. This is something that I knew that I didn't do. But I was a routine girl, right? I was the world living this unconscious life. So please, anything here that you feel that is you, take a little note, because you're gonna see why I'm saying that and what we can do about that. Again, imagine no filter is free. I'm sitting here, I'm doing this for free. You're sitting here, you're listening to me for free. Yet, there can be something that I say tonight that can change the rest of your life. As a matter of fact, I am certain that there are many things that I can say today that can change the rest of your lives. Is it because I know it all? No. It's because I'm pointing out things that we all collectively are going through. And the moment you can break free from it, you float away. The moment you can break free from these things, you float away. And then you become free. And you flourish. So we're talking about romanticizing the past. How many of us sit and do that? How many of us sit and romanticize exes that were pretty bad exes? Pretty bad. But we're like, ça t'est bien bon. You know? We do that to manipulate people too, right? To make them feel like they're not good enough. We do that for many other reasons, but ultimately, it's a waste of your time because you're not living in a present moment. You're just pulling the past that does not exist anymore, bringing it back into the future, and you know damn well it's never going to be the case. And as a matter of fact, if they brought this past to you today, you would not take it. The same way people say, oh, oui, so Jean-Claude Duvalier by your people. At the end of the day, it wasn't good at no time, guys, because in none of those times, in each of those times were people who were brutally and severely affected. So why would it be a better time? It was not a better time. Okay, so we have to stop saying those things, because I think these things are insulting. When we speak about our country and we say, oh, Jean-Claude Duvalier, I don't know, most of us have had a family member who was in prison, who today, if you talk about Jean-Claude Duvalier, they will just tremble. But yet we still say that, oh, Jean-Claude Duvalier, bah, yo, t'es bon. Oh, so un tel bah, t'es bon. Romanticizing the past. We have to let the past stay where it is, in the past. And we have to have the guts to stay and live in the present. You know what? It doesn't take guts. The only thing that the present takes is to sit in discomfort. The present forces you to sit in discomfort. And we are afraid of discomfort. That's why we drink. That's why we smoke. That's why we get addicted to things. That's why we eat too much. It's because of the discomfort of being in a present moment and not wanting to accept things that are not really great at the time. So we romanticize the past. We romanticize people who have hurt us. And we say, you know what, but at least he did this, at least she did this, that. But the moment that we're living that thing, it was hell. So let's stop doing that, because we're hurting ourselves and we're hurting other people too when we say that, when we're trying to romanticize a past that was not as glorious. Okay? So that's romanticizing the past. Another way that we waste our mind, emotional reasoning. What is emotional reasoning? Emotional reasoning is, I feel like this, so this must mean that. So I walk into a place, I'm afraid, it must be that this place is dangerous. That's not true. There's something about your intuition that is different from your biased views. It's different. And understanding your intuition, the voice of your intuition is much different from the shadows of your fears and the shadows of your misconceptions. Right? So when I talk about emotional reasoning, is because I feel anxious, this must mean that. Or because I'm in love with him, it must be that he's a good person. Oh my God, that was me. Because I'm in love, it must be that this person is emotional reasoning. Emotional reasoning. Oh my God, my Facebook people are still here, guys. I'm here. I'm on Instagram, guys. No filter. Instagram, if you want to watch me in a way that makes more sense, you're not seeing the side of my face. and the sun and none on my hair, please go on Instagram and you're going to be able to see us and participate with us there. But I wanted to make sure that you guys could see me there because I'm still not able to connect my accounts. Anyway, emotional reasoning. You're assuming that your feelings are evidence of the truth. You know, people who do that a lot are people with narcissistic behaviors, because narcissists have a tendency, they are so fearful. They have a lot of fear inside of them, and they are led by their fears and their insecurities. And so their fears are so strong that they feel like this must be that, because they are not able to, there's no other way, that this feeling is taking me over so much and it's so powerful that it's not true. Your emotions have nothing to do with your intuition. Learn to understand the difference. On No Filter, I know Éveil Spiritual is likely going to talk about intuition. So learn about it there and try to understand the difference. People who have gone through abuse and people who have gone through trauma have a hard time separating the two. Their fear and their unconscious biases and their triggers and their PTSD with the voice of their intuition. And then the moment you start doing the work and the moment you start healing, you are able to start differentiate your fears from your intuition. So I'm not telling you not to go on the hunch that you feel, but understand that it might be your emotions, which has nothing to do with your intuition. Learn the voice of your intuition and learn the vibration of that voice so that you can know how to communicate with it. And so that when you have that virus that comes, which is an emotion or thought that's connected, emotions and thoughts are like a cycle, that you are able to understand what it is. You see, when you have to clear the cache on your computer, I had to do that stuff. This is a magical thing for anybody who's done this, right? Your computer is not working, acting funky. You don't know why. You're like, oh my God. You restart, it doesn't work. You add programs, it doesn't work. The only thing you had to do was clear the cache. I still don't know what cache is, but you clear that cache, that computer runs smooth. You have to accept that we are in a place in humanity today where we do not have control over some thoughts. They just come our way based off of ancestral conditioning, cultural conditioning, things that have happened, your memories, anything that has happened. And then next thing you know, you have this thought that pops up, or you might have watched something. It is your mind is a computer that we still do not know us. We're not the software engineers of our minds yet. So we don't know how. The people who know how to manage their thoughts well, it's clear for them. Oh, this is an emotion. And even for them, their emotions even better regulated. Our emotions are not regulated because we are living an unconscious life. We're living in a pattern. I put myself in a situation that creates thoughts that engendre des feelings engendre des thoughts, feelings, and then we live like this, and we will continue on like this, and then we lose track of who we are. We're perpetuating a situation that has nothing to do with us and our true selves. So that's emotional reasoning. Your feelings need to be honored. Your feeling needs to be nurtured. Your feeling needs to be valued. But please tell me, if you have a child who's 2 years old and who's screaming that they want to drive the car, will you let them drive the car? If you have a child who desperately wants to have a real gun, the child is 5 because he was playing Minecraft, whatever he was playing, Fortnite, whatever he was playing, will you give that child the gun? You wouldn't, but you would still validate his feelings. You would just say he doesn't know what he's talking about. You would. So you see how you can validate a feeling, but still not, and honor it, but not giving into it. The same way you would not give in to a child who wants to drive your car. You wouldn't. Do not let your feelings dictate your actions. Your feelings need to be nurtured. They need to be valued. They need to be cared for, but they are not the ones in control of your life. Emotional reasoning. Oh my God, that's the one I love the most. Right now, we're making a list of all the ways that we are using our minds in an unconscious way. Basically, we're using our minds. We don't know that we're using our minds, but we are using it, or it's being used somehow without our control, without us saying, this is what I want to do. Now, if you say, yo, I want to start emotionally reasoning, then no, you're controlling your mind. If you say, no, I want to romanticize the past, hey, ça s'appelle la nostalgie, ça c'est la bohème. You can sit and you're thinking about the past and that's a good moment that you're giving yourself. But this is a conscious choice versus you relying on that to make decisions and to live out your life. Okay? All right. Yes, the one that I like, the making should statements. Guys, if you throw away anything that I've said, this one, think about it. Should. Fuck uta. Fuck que. Think about it. You know what? You should do this. The first question you ask, says who? And you will see it says me. It's me who was that. I created a rule and I'm putting it in a principle. People do that, right? If you want something to happen, you create a rule and you create a principle out of it, and then it becomes a rule. But a lot of times people following that rule and they forget to ask, says who? You. This is your understanding. This is your vision. This is your view. This has nothing to do. Why is this true? Do I share that thought? Do I share that belief? But sometimes we take the should comme un saint graal. We take the should comme la parole de l'évangile. We take the should, that this is it. Whenever you are using that word should, check yourself. This is a way for you to protect something. This is for you to protect something. You're protecting something. And you say, well, this should be this way. Or you know what? This should be that way. Every single time you're using the word should, you're in the wrong. You can say, I would like. You can say, I would rather. C'est ça m'da remè, m'da souhaité, m'da pitol. Ou pa ka paret son moun nou diye kon sa pou liye, sa ba la e même ou paret ton jè bi kon sa liye. But that's not true. They're coming at it and they're saying it to you because they're hoping that you can believe in it as well. So it can become a truth that is shared by more than themselves. You know, next month, and I'm not going to reveal the topic for No Filter next month because I don't think it's super official yet, but it's going to touch a little bit about those things, right? Beliefs, right? About that should. Says who? If I'm a strong person, if I'm a charismatic person, you see the kind of havoc and kind of damage I can do. If I have a big voice, I'm going to start saying a bunch of shoulds and I'm going to wait for people to clap. And then I got you because now you believe what I believe. You did not question. You just said, oh, that person sounds so sure of themselves. That must be true. But what you fail to realize is I created something. I put a should on it and it became a principle that now you have to follow. So this is another way where you are letting your freedom go. Because this is not you who made that choice. You didn't really come up with it and say, you know what, I believe that. So we both, me and this person, we share the same belief. Should statements. Be very careful. Should, en créole, en français, tu devrais. Ça devra, ça doit être, ça est. Par rapport à qui? Par rapport à vous-même. Based off of you. Make écouter l'écrit. You can say you want to. You can say you would like. But should is a rule that you create that has nothing to do with it. We're trying to create a universal rule. There's no universal rule in that way that you come up with, a human comes up with. I'm a human, you're a human. We are both equal. So it's not up to you to come up with a rule that, which book did you read it from? Like your own book. Think about it. Ask yourself that question. Deputan no moun di should or fuck que. Depuis moun di fuck, gade pou. Look, is it no, yeah, this is a rule. My son, he's in 3rd grade and he's learning about rules and laws, and he knows the difference between a rule and a law. A rule, you will get. A law, you will go to jail. But these are sets of principles. These are shoulds that are listed clearly. Now, if you don't follow those shoulds, you get either a tap on the finger, on the wrist, or you go to jail. That is a should. that is a society. That makes sense. Whether you want to or not, the should is the rule. But when it's you and I sitting together talking and I'm starting to impose my rules onto you because of the way I speak to you, and I'm saying should, I'm saying fuck, I'm saying this, I'm saying that, but then your mind might be weak or weakened, or you're not used to utilizing your mind in a conscious way, you're absorbing that and you're following me. And the moment you follow, you lose your freedom. You lose your personal freedom. So be careful of the shoulds. Again, this is a list of all the ways that we are using our minds that are not conscious. I have another one. All or nothing thinking. All or nothing. Ah, c'est soit ça, c'est pas ça. C'est soit ça, c'est soit ça. Blanc ou noir, black or white, right? No kind of, and we all know, I mean, I'd say we all know, the reasonable viewpoint of this is people typically say that it is a spectrum, right? Things can be black, things can be white, but in the middle, there's a bunch of shades of gray, right? That's kind of the reasonable approach. That's when you accept that people are not perfect, that life is not perfect. But if you into that perfection, that perfectionism, that narcissistic behavior, you're going to have a tendency of saying black or white, nothing else. And it always applies to you. It doesn't apply to me, by the way. Think about it. People who think like that, they put it onto you. They don't put it onto them. They can live in the gray. You can't. Again, you're losing your freedom. You see? All or nothing thinking. The way this is either this or that. That's it. If you feel like you have to make a choice. I'm going to give you another example of a loss of freedom that really irks me. I have my son, my nephews, they're all there. And then my son says, oh, Nico doesn't let me. And I'm like, let's take a big pause. What do you mean let you? First of all, you guys are all the same age, right? So let you. Why did you choose to give your freedom away to him? That's one. But Nico did not really do anything. He just decided because he's approaching it that way, he's approaching it from a weak perspective. But my son saying he didn't let me. So then you're automatically telling him, giving them the indication that he has that power over you, that he can actually choose for you, that he had that choice that he did not even know he had. And now he utilizes that against you. Not because he's a mean person, because people are people. Because people is like water. You give them more space, they take more space. The conscious people probably don't necessarily do that, but this is a child. If you give a child a whole domain, he's going to take the whole domain. Like, why not? So the more space you give him, he's going to take it. So think about it. When you say things like, I'm going to go to the next segue. He made me feel. Nobody can make you feel, guys. No one can make you feel. You feel this way after the person did that. Yes, say that. Never say, oh, he made me feel this way. He made me do it. Again, going all the way to abusers, people who beat up people. You see, I have 17 people watching me right now. I know that by the time we post the live, maybe, let's say about 600 people are going to watch it. I know for a fact that there's probably a third of the people who are in an abusive relationship or are being abused themselves or are the abusers. Okay? For the people who are victims and the people who are abusing people, they operate with the same kind of language, saying the abuser says, you made me do this to you. So it's never their fault. It's you who made me. So this is another way of saying that they are not in control. You took their personal freedom away from them by having them do something they didn't want to do. You're like the victim. Again, some people are in situations that it can truly not leave. I'm talking about all the other gray areas, right? Where your mind has a big role in your victim situation. These are the people that I'm talking about. You would say, he made me feel like, he makes me feel like, or she made me, she is because you're giving your power away. People romanticize giving power away, and I say that all the time. but it's not our fault. I just watched The Little Mermaid, although they kind of made her a little bit stronger, but still, it's those same narratives that they keep showing us where people just, it's by giving yourself away a little bit that you gain some kind of, it becomes romantic a little bit. But I think they're defeating, that's my thinking again. I'm not saying it's a should, it's just my belief, right? That it could be, it could be better said. This notion of giving yourself away, it's a question of being vulnerable with each other. That's really what this is being vulnerable and letting your guards down and opening yourself and your heart and sharing your whole self with the person. But sharing yourself with the person does not mean let me take my mind and give it to them so they can control me. Being vulnerable with somebody is being open with someone, but it's not giving your mind away. It's also about maybe giving your heart away, because your heart is not meant to only love one person. You have other people you should be loving. Should you see how I said that? Check me, right? Maybe you think it's not true, but I think that. So it's my belief. When people say should, remember they're talking about their beliefs. So I'm talking about my belief, right? Okay. Let's keep moving, guys, so we can be done. Well, not so we can be done, because I know I could be there all night, but we have to keep it moving. I started about 9:15, 9:20. I want to take another example of how we use our minds. And that's one that I posted on the No Filter channel. I'm hoping you guys can check that video out. Again, this is me. There's the School of Superpowers. I'm one of the content creators for the for No Filter, but my platform is called the School of Superpowers. Okay. A lot of us spend a lot of our time doing to others what others have done to us. Now, it's not a big concept because it can be very small as well. I can minimize, I can synthesize, no, listen. I can simplify this concept even further. It could be as simple as not returning a phone call. So let me take an example. I'm going to take a few names. Like Natalie calls me. No, I call Natalie. She doesn't pick up the phone. That irks me. Okay. So now when Beatrice calls me, I don't pick up the phone. I don't pick up the phone. Because because I felt some kind of way that Natalie did not pick up my phone call. It's not that I'm not picking up Natalie's phone call. I'm not picking up Beatrice's phone call because now I'm like jaded. This is how the world is, blah, 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 blah. So we spend a lot of our time doing to others what others have done to us. So that's a simple example that I took. Let me take another example. If people treat us in a way that is less than, like somebody ghosts you. Let's say you're out there, you're single, trying to date, right? And a guy or a girl ghosts you. You're so hurt that you go in full reaction mode. Now you're the ghoster. You want to be the ghoster. You want to be the ghoster. You see? So somebody ghosts you because you're so hurt. Again, this is a reaction mode. This is the unconscious mind. This is the primitive, reactionary, non-conscious way of being. Oh, I'm going to do the same thing. Oh, I'm going to ghost too. Because then it kind of makes me feel better because I'm looking for retribution. I'm always looking to passer mes plaies, right? I'm always looking to feel better about myself. So if somebody could do that to me, then I'm going to do that to the other person, and I'm going to grow in the ranks. I know I've done this to men, but because, that's what it is, right? You feel like, they do something to you, then you're going to do to them, but you're wasting your time. You're living where you're just doing something because somebody else has done it to you, but you never even wanted it. Did you ask for it? No. But now you're out there playing a game that has nothing to do with what you wanted in the first place. You're spending all your time doing that. Now I'm going to go even further. That's where violence comes from. When they say hurt people, most people who abuse people, most of them have been abused themselves. This is not to discount what they're doing. This is not to forgive what they did. This is not even to justify what they did, but this is for us to overstand. not understand. This is even bigger. This is for us to overstand so we can recognize what's actually happening. Most people who abuse people have been abused. And because they don't know, but people will say, oh, I've been abused, I don't abuse people. Okay, that's you, boo. That's you. But a lot of other people don't behave that way. Fear and pain and hurt make people act in the most egregious ways. They say that Papa Doc was one of the people who were the most fearful because his childhood was really not great, but it just that so happened that he decided to cope with his fear, with his insecurities, by being the most vicious person out there that he could be. Hitler was another one too. Hitler was bullied. Hitler was bullied. Hitler was ostracized. He was marginalized. He was not great. He was not good looking. Look, guys, I don't even think, and maybe please correct me if I'm wrong, I don't even think he was part of La Race Aryenne that he was fighting for. You know what I mean? He was fighting for a race of people that he was not even part of. Isn't that a pure insecurity and pure feelings of inferiority? Okay. So think about that. People do to others what others have done to them. So now this is how you're spending your time. You're spending your time doing to others what others have done to you. You're spending your time romanticizing the past. You're spending your time living on other people's shoulds. You're spending your time on letting random virus thoughts take over your mind, like having a 2-year-old child and letting them run your life. And it's acceptable. It's not alarming. You spend your time emotional reasoning. And again, your emotions come from your thoughts, but it is a cycle. It's almost like the chicken or the egg. Which comes first? You just don't know. You don't know. Your thought creates a feeling that creates another thought, that creates another feeling, and it perpetuates. It perpetuates. And then you stay in that cycle. So this is another way where you're spending your time. And then the responsible people in the world, the successful people in the world, they go to work every day. They work hard. Their heart is not in it. They don't even know what they're doing. They don't even know why they're doing it. They don't know who's benefiting from this work, who's not benefiting from this work. But as long as they have a little money to pay their bills, and then to pay for Netflix that they watch unconsciously, and then to go for travels and then buy and eat things that they don't need, they don't even care. They go to countries just so they can say, I went to Amsterdam last year, but they don't even give a about Amsterdam. They probably would have been better if they went to, I don't know, Brazil. So, but then it's not glamorous enough, so they say something else. And then you spend the majority of your time living in an unconscious life. What's so sad is that our kids are not born this way. Kids, we were all kids at some point. If we're here today and alive, we were all kids before. We were not born this way, but we were conditioned to embrace life in a certain way. And again, you see your parents do that stuff. You see your parents do that mess, so you do it too. Your parents are the first one who say should. I say should to my son every day because it's my rules, my beliefs. But you know what I'm telling my son these days? I hope he's not getting confused. I said, Zico, be mindful of what you hear other people say because you're not perfect. If you see me coming at you a certain way and it's not sitting well with you, you need to make that little analysis. Check it. Check what I'm saying to see if it resonates true to you. Because thinking that people that come to you are perfect is probably one of the most dangerous things you can do. I don't know if I'm doing a good job. I probably need to talk to a therapist to understand, because I know a child also needs safety, right? So they need to believe in something, but I don't want them to believe that their parents and adults are always right and that they always have the answers, because they don't. And so that's important for their minds to be free, because if their minds are not free, then a good child is a child that follows your rules. A good child is a child that flies under the radar. Everything they do, oh my God, this child is so great. Oh my God, look how he opened the door for me. Oh my God. But he's doing this because he was conditioned to do this. Check to see if he's doing it out of the heart, the pureness of his heart, or if he's doing it because he was conditioned. Because if he was conditioned, you should feel really sad for the child. Should, again, my belief. I'm checking myself, right? It's my belief, but it's my show. Okay. It's my show, so I get to say should. But yeah, so now Kids are in a tough position, that they've always been in a tough position. And how it is that we're going to support these kids in order for them to have a free mind, so they're not minions like we are. How do we wake up? How do we wake up from this? Okay, guys, there's something that says the anxious mind will have you believe things about yourself, your circumstances, and your future that are just not true. Because you're spending 90%, 95% of your brain is on all these things that I just mentioned. Where is you in it? Where is you in everything that I just said? Where do you reside? Where do you come up? That's why that's why artistic talent is a great thing, because a lot of people get to express purity without at least having to say all these things. So there are different ways that people find to express themselves. But how many people, I know I'm not really an artist like it, but every time I get to create something that's coming from me, I'm like, I feel it. There's something there for me, or that's about me or of me, right? So guys, what happens when you don't use your mind? When you don't use your mind, nothing changes in your life. Until you change, nothing will change in your life. No man that comes into your life, no woman that comes into your life, no great job that comes into your life, no some people still waiting for inheritance money so they can start living their lives. Okay, that is not going to change your life. The only thing that's going to change your life is if you change yourself. Point blank period. Nothing else will change your life. I mean, try it. That's my belief anyway. That's my show, right? That's my belief. That's the SOS belief, the School of Superpowers belief. If you don't change your life, if you don't change yourself, your life will not change. Point blank. You can want to blame your wife, or if she did this, if she supported me there, or your husband, if he did this, if he supported me, if I did that. We love blaming. Oh, I'm sorry, guys. Blaming is another one. It's another thing we love spending our time doing, because it removes responsibility from us and puts it on someone else. I'm an actuary, by the way. I do risk all day. We love risk transfers. So this is a risk transfer, right? It should be me. It's me. It's my life. But let me blame you and make you responsible for it. So that way I can validate the fact that I'm not making it, right? By blaming the wife, by blaming the husband, by blaming the parents. Your parent ain't perfect. If you're here today and you're a parent, you ain't perfect. So why would you think your parent was perfect? The age that we are all at right now, our parents were that age at some point. But then at that age, we wanted them to be better than we are today. Let's stop the hypocrisy and let's step up and let's understand that this is just where humanity is today. Okay? If you are today, you're in a toxic relationship, and then you're blaming your parents for being in a toxic relationship, it's because their parents were in a toxic relationship, and then their other parents were in a toxic relationship, and then now Nelson Mandela, he said, I'll stop it today. That's what he did use his mind for. He understood the cycle of violence. He understood the cycle of things. And he said, I will stop it today. And then so that's why I'm inviting us together here, you, me, all the people that are here. Let's see what we can stop today. Let's look at a cycle that's been repeating in our lives that we can stop today. It doesn't take magie, guys. It doesn't take a bougie. It doesn't take anything. I mean, you can. I mean, it's fun. I actually have my incense blowing. Yeah, it's fun. But what it takes is you taking the time and sitting down and creating the space. I always say to people, if you want to change your life, just create space for it. Just block 20 minutes of your calendar and sit. Just sit. Don't even meditate if you don't think you can. Just sit and think about one thing about yourself that you could release, or that you could change, or that maybe you're trying to investigate a little bit more of. But you have to make the time for it. You will never find the time in your mindless routines. You will never find the time in between your should statements that other people have put upon you. You don't even know you're carrying this book that somebody else has put upon you as their rule book. All this emotional reasoning, all this romanticizing the past, you spend your time doing that. So you don't really spend your time to kind of say, okay, let me take a step back and see this thing for what it is. If you keep thinking the same way and making the same choices, but guys, you know this, right? Your biology, you as a person will just stay the same person, okay? Break the chains of what you put around you and reclaim your freedom. Break the chains, break the invisible chains of your mind. It is your mind. What's in my mind is my mind. We all here today have our own minds. How do we involve ourselves into our mind activity? And how do we free ourselves from those unconscious, those repeated, those aimless ways of thinking and of being? We're wasting our time, or we're living our lives in a way that let's think about it. If we were not spending our time doing these things, because that's the next segue, what would our lives look like? I'm not going to start this whole topic now, right? But to say, what would our life look like if we stopped for a moment, and if we were not spending our time doing these things? My brother and I had a conversation the other day. We were kind of going through a situation as it was happening. And when we disengaged from that unconscious, unnecessary pattern, he was like, man, shit, I'm free. What am I going to, it's crazy that I don't have to do this. And now I'm free. And now what do I do with the freedom? C'est tout vide après être comblé. So if you're not comfortable with the emptiness, sometimes you might just want to gravitate towards something that you know that's familiar, and then you just go back to it. But just for a moment, feel that feeling of that freedom, of that emptiness that is created when you get these things away from you, and allow yourself to stay in that space for a little moment. Because this is truly where the next thing comes up. I know we're all here because somehow, some way we want to change something about our lives. We want to change our lives. I'm telling you, I'm giving you this as a gift, that this is one way that you can do that, is by developing the awareness of those things that I just said. Two other things you can do. The first thing is developing the awareness of all these things we just spoke about. We shared about them. We dug deep into them. I'm hoping that you guys took some notes of some of the things that you feel, you know what, let me go look into that more, right? Let me go look into that more about my life and see how much of my time it takes. You can even do a graph and look at the time that you spend. You can take an agenda and start looking at where you spend your time. You can do a pie chart. You can do any kind of way to see where your time is spent, and then decide, is that how I want to spend my time? Now, if this is how you want to spend your time, then you are great. But if this is not how you spend your time, then you have an opportunity that you didn't even know existed. And you didn't make more money. You didn't meet that great guy, meet that great woman, get that great job, get that promotion. Nothing happened. The only thing that changed was your mindset. And so by changing your mindset, you can create abundance in your life. Shit, that's crazy, right? Like, you can't actually create abundance in your life by simply developing awareness of these things and then liberating yourself from them. So there are two things you can do. I'm going to give you two things that you can do real quick to practice that. Tomorrow is Friday, September 29th. Wake up and say to yourself, today I will wake up and I will remind myself of who I do not want to be. Look at all the ways you show up tomorrow, Friday, September 29th, and start investing. Like, look at yourself, like, observe yourself. Do not judge yourself. This is not the part to judge. This is only the part to recognize. Recognize all the ways that you don't want to be. And then when you show up like that, look at it. Say, okay, here's one. Okay, I see. Do not judge yourself yet. See, I say yet because you might want to. Me, I always want to judge myself. So I have to tell myself yet, so I can give myself the feeling that I'm going to judge myself, but not right now. So at least I can do the work, right? And number two, so the first thing is, look at all the ways you don't want to be. Here are the ways I don't want to be today. And then number two, start rehearsing who you want to be. And here's how you rehearse who you want to be. Very, very easy. You know, when you dream, if you dream a lion is running after you, if you were in a lab and they connected all these electrodots, they connected all these things on you, they would notice your heart rate rising. All the signs of you actually being chased by a lion would be reflected on that monitor. But yet you're not. This goes to show the strong suggested the suggestive way that your mind works. You don't have to be in a situation in order to feel the situation. But then remember the thing about feeling and thought and feeling and thought. If you create a feeling inside of you, it will generate a thought that will create the same feeling, and I say create thought, the same feeling, and then your life and then your reality starts changing. So then I invite you to create a feeling. You can play with your thoughts as well. You can create a thought, but creating the feeling is a really, really palpable way, especially if you don't even have control over your mind. You might want to start with the feeling instead. What would it feel like if you were the person that you wanted to be? Feel the feeling of it, the excitement of it. You're going to feel the energy run through your body. Don't judge yourself for feeling it and it's not real. It hasn't happened yet. Because what you're doing is a conscious work that you're doing to create that feeling so you can generate a thought. You're doing your work. You don't need to justify this to no one. You don't need to feel like, oh my God, I'm doing this thing. This thing is so dumb. You know, it's not even real. I'm thinking I'm abundant. I'm thinking I'm rich. I'm thinking I have love. I found love in my life, but it's not even true. No, you're just doing work. You're just doing work. And it's okay. You don't have to tell anyone. You don't have to be shy. You don't have to share it with people. You don't have to justify, explain yourself. Just try to be comfortable with your own self as you're doing this by not judging yourself, right? And then start feeling the feeling of who you want to be and how you would like to show up. Let's say, you know, you're a mom, but you would love to be more loving and more caring and more, but you just can't because you're always worried. Your mind is always, you know, you're always like, So you don't feel like you have the brain power to really be the person you want to be, right? So feel that feeling of what it would be like to be that mom that you would love to see, the mom that you should be on your own terms. This is your should. Who do you think you should be in your own terms that would benefit you, that would serve you? And I'll create this feeling inside of you and feel the feeling. All it takes, take your phone. There's a bunch of different apps you can use. I love Insight Timer. It's one of the best apps, I think. But hey, you have a phone, you have a timer on it, just put the timer, okay? And sit and practice that. Just practice conscious feelings, consciously feeling something and see what it does. Okay, guys, that's really what I have for you. And please, I'm Christy Guillaume. This is the School of Superpowers. For the people who don't know me, I know I've been speaking for a while. I wish I was online with my channel. That way you guys could know that it's me. But okay, I'm doing a no filter, which I'm appreciative and I love it. And I love that I'm able to connect with this platform and with the people on this platform. I'm part of the family now. I'm a no filter family. I'm a no filter content creator, and I love the opportunity. Nonetheless, please go on my page, The School of Superpowers. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Facebook. I have a website, The School of Superpowers, and you can check me out. Oh, I'm gonna do my little plug. I have 2 more minutes before I finish. At the School of Superpowers, you see the topic I'm talking about, right? It's all about personal development. It's about helping people evolve. I created a tool called Your Pathway, which is an online course that anybody can take, which is really super fun. I just had a student graduate yesterday and he was like, oh my God, we need to talk. This is so fantastic, which is what I wanted. What the tool does, it helps you find your purpose. Truly what it does, it helps you align with something that is serving you. It helps you align yourself with your best with your best self. It helps you reconnect with yourself at a deeper level. It helps you find the path that will give you the most happiness, that will give you the most success, that will give you the most fulfillment. At the School of Superpowers, what we fundamentally believe is a life of meaning. Meaning is a life lived on purpose. At the School of Superpowers, we also believe that your soul will never be at peace if you do not give it what it needs. So you can be sitting here, you get married 25 times, you get 25,000 jobs, you get 20 cars, you get all this. If you do not give your soul what it needs, it will never rest. It will never be at peace. And so Your Pathway, which is my online course, helps you uncover your soul's desire and helps you align with it so that your job and your role should be about meeting your soul's need. If there's any objective that somebody needs to have on this life, is to fulfill their own vision. And it's not to fulfill Anne Christie's vision. It's not to fulfill your husband or your wife's vision. For you to evolve and be the best person that you can be, for you to become and overcome those things that hold you back, I created a course called Your Pathway that helps you shed all these, all these bags that hold you back so that you can soar and thrive and have your eyes open. Open your eyes so you can live your life on your terms. You know the thing they say, let's say you're like an overweight person and you need to go back to the gym. You want to just go back to the gym. You want to be better. But the thing about the gym is the first day you go to the gym, first day, even though you're like 300 pounds, you already feel like you're Halle Berry. You already feel like you're Jennifer Lopez. You already feel like you're Channing Tatum, right? You already feel you're hot because you are on the path of something that serves your highest good. That's what Your Pathway in my course does. It puts you on the path of what's going to serve your highest good. So please, if you guys are interested in that course, listen to me. Today is September 28th. There's September 20th and September 30th. If you DM me and you tell me that you say Your Pathway, I will send you a code that's going to give you a discount that you can use towards my course, towards any of the products I have, because I also have life coaching with the course, right? Some people, they want to do the course, but they also want a life coach after that to kind of really continue on the work, right? So you can do that. Or you can simply take the course. Or I also have one-on-ones. Clearly, you see how much I love digging deep into topics. So I'm offering one-on-ones if somebody wants to just have one topic. Like you see Mug Photo, you have some things you want to talk about, fine. Book a 1-hour session with me and we can just dig deep into a topic, because this is how I learn and this is how you learn. It's by us exchanging, but in a productive way so that we can come out and be like, man, we did this thing, right? This is what I offer. So if you DM me, not on the No Filter, you can on the No Filter channel, but it might be a little bit chaotic because a lot of people are DMing on this. If you go on the School of Superpowers, if you go on the School of Superpowers on my Instagram, or even if you go on my website, theschoolofsuperpowers.com, you send me a message, I will share a coupon code with you that you can use before September 30th so that you can have a discount so you can participate in any of the programs that I have on my platform. So I really invite you to do that. Take advantage of the code. You have 2 more days before September is over. The promotion is going to end on September 30th at midnight. So you have 2 days to get the code from me and purchase the product so that you can lock in your price. Of course, I also blog, which is I really love. So guys, if you're not willing to buy anything right now, but you love the content, you love what we're talking about, please, please, please go on my page, put your email, or you can DM me with your email and I can sign you up for the blog, or you can go on my page and read the blog yourself. But if you sign up for the blog, you will just receive it by email. Every time they come out, you will receive it, okay? And I do have a YouTube channel. Any content that I create, video content that I create, I put it on my YouTube channel that we can always view it after the fact, right? So that all the content is there. And what else? And then, again, stay connected with me. Let me know what you would like to talk about. I want to know what are some of the things that you think are holding people back that you would love for us to talk about, because I would love that. For me, what's important is to talk about purpose. For me, what's important is to talk about freedom, because I think ultimately we need those things for humanity to evolve. But this is my thinking. If you have any other topic that you think might make sense for us to talk about, let me know. I would absolutely love to talk and to share. Next month, I'm hoping to open the channel so we can have people join, because I think it is important for us to hear other people so that we can end up seeing that we're all the same. My blog's name is Universal Truths, because I'm trying to touch on topics that cover a bunch of people, not just me. It's not about me. It's not about women. It's not about Black women. It's not about Black people. It's not about Haitians. It's about humans. We are all human. It's not about your race, your sex, your gender. Oh my God, your sexual orientation. Who cares? Oh my God, who cares? That doesn't mean anything. We are all human. Your sexual orientation is your personal choice. We were just talking about personal freedom. Let people make their choice. But again, let me leave that there, okay? So everything that we talk about at the School of Superpowers are things related to health, things related to wealth, and things related to personal development. Because our mission is to participate in humanity's evolution. That is my role. That's what I want to do with my time. Instead of doing all these other things that I just showed you, I want to spend a lot of my time participating in humanity's evolution. And I have the opportunity to do that on the No Filter channel. And I'm forever grateful for this platform, because I have the opportunity to reach you guys and to reach a large group of people, and that we can continue on the discussion. This world can change, but it will never change if we don't change ourselves. If we're sitting here looking at our government, waiting for our government to change our lives, it will never work. It will never, ever work. Not one person can come and change the world for us. We must change ourselves. And when enough people change, the world will change. The more this collective change that happens, the world will change. So that's what I invite you guys to do. I hope you can participate on this mission that I have. If you believe in the same mission of helping humanity evolve, or helping yourself evolve, or wanting your family to evolve, or your people to do that. One last thing, you see, I know Beatrice is like, wait, you said you were going to leave, but one last thing. For the month of October, I'm going to start a campaign, again, for Your Pathway, my course. It's going to be a different promotion and a different thing, where I want every child, before they go to college, to take Your Pathway course. Because it is alarming the amount of money that parents spend sending kids to college just to become a doctor, a lawyer, a nurse, or whatever it is, that has nothing to do but with who and what the child is meant to be, is in this world for. And again, at the School of Superpowers, we believe that when people are aligned with their true purpose, they become abundant. Nothing can stop them. They will for sure be successful, because they will soar. We want our children to soar. So I want every child to take Your Pathway course before they go to college, so that the choice that they make is aligned with their soul's desire. Too many kids have gone to college. As soon as they finish, they go to their parents, they give their parents a diploma, and they're like, Mommy said, Boo, Isa, this is for you. And they walk away and they live another life. For what? So this is the campaign. This is what I'm for. This is what I'm trying to do right now, is to get those kids there. And then on a second note, which is, again, it's the same thing, but it's the same thing. People in mid-career, like myself, spending 15, 20 years in a career, 10, 15, 20 years in a career, giving them the tool to make that shift and to make that pivot in their lives, to be able to make that pivot without feeling that you're throwing everything away, without feeling they won't be able to pay their bills, but realigning them into a path that will satisfy their soul. Because your mission can expire. It's okay that you spent 10 years doing something. It's okay that you spent 15 years doing something, because it was serving you at the time. But now we have to be able to understand that we're not trees. We're meant to change and to move. So there's a time also to make a change and to change trajectory, and it is okay. You don't need to spend all your life doing the same thing. If you're feeling yourself unhappy, it's because it's time for you to make a change. Your Pathway at the School of Superpowers, which is my online course, will help you identify what that is for sure. So please send me a message, go on my Instagram page, send me a DM, so you can lock in your special for the month of September. And also send me a message for October, because there's going to be another special running for the month of October for those two things that I said, right? So if you're a student about to go to college, you're going to have a special. If you are a mid-career person looking to pivot, you will have a coupon code that you can use as well. Okay, guys, I really enjoyed this time with you. I really enjoyed this topic. I really enjoyed sharing it. I really hope that you found some value. I really hope that I said one thing today that make you be like, man, that's what I want. Because then my mission is accomplished, because that's what I'm looking to do. I'm looking to create change in people so that the world can be a better place. All right, guys, I love you. Stay blessed, and I'll see you again in 2 weeks. It's every Thursday at 8, but really knowing Ann Christie, probably like 8:15, 8:30. Okay, but it's every Thursday at 8. All right, ciao.